Welcome to the Magdalene Voices, giving voice to those silenced for centuries through sacred conversations with beautiful, illuminating souls and insightful inspiration to nourish every cell of your body, every fiber of your being, every aspect of your soul and existence through lifetimes past, present, and future. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Saraphina. I serve soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, Magdalene's Rising, and radiant beings just like you with the expansion and growth of yourself and your business. Aligning you with your deep inner truth, bringing to life that which you're here to birth, and supporting you in expressing your soul's divine purpose through your being and your doing in this lifetime. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariasaraphina.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. And if you have ever wondered about your Magdalene connection and calling, and whether you are a Magdalene, I invite you to download the free Magdalene Blueprint I've created for you. Go to mariasaraphina.com/AYM to get it. Also, if you're a soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneur, check out my show and podcast, The Spiritual Business with Maria Saraphina. It's designed to inspire you, empower you, guide you, nurture you, and activate you. You can find it on YouTube as well as everywhere podcasts are broadcasted, or click the link in the show notes. Today I am joined by Anna Otero. Anna is a writer, dancer, and lover of all creative expressions. She's the creator and director of Mary Magdalene Mystery School, a temple of mystical art where we remember how to create our world from the sacred, following the teachings of Mary Magdalene and her sacred lineage of the spiral of the Rosa Mystica. Anna started channeling Mary Magdalene directly in 2011 after a very dark night of the soul, and since then her life has been dedicated to follow and teach the path of awakening through the teachings and presence of Mary Magdalene. Holding a PhD in dance movement therapy and living the life of a yogic scientist, she has co-created with the channelings of Mary Magdalene an advanced technology of movement meditations, body work, and sacred toning. In this sacred conversation, Anna and I talk about dark nights of the soul, rude awakenings, deep transformation, and what happens when the Magdalene appears in your life. Anna shares her journey openly, as well as wisdom about our wombs, both the physical one women have and the energetic ones we all have. There's tears and laughter, joy, honesty, and deep love, of which you, my radiant one, is a part. As always, I encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind, and take only what serves you and leave the rest. Here is our sacred conversation. Anna, welcome to the Magdalene Voices. It is such a blessing and an honor to have you on the show. We were talking right before we went on, and already then it was clear that there's like a connection. I had tears in my eyes. I was moved. I was like everything. So I am super excited. I have been excited for the past few days. Even though we've just connected, I've been like, there's been something that's been stirring. So I am thrilled and excited to see what's going to come through us and this, and who's it for. And yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I really don't. Usually I have some sort of a script. Here, there's nothing. So we're just diving in. I think my first question is, would you tell us how did the Magdalene or the Magdalenes, how did they or she first show up for you in your life, and what happened?
Okay. Well, first I just want to say thank you and ahava, which means love. And I always use it to say hello to people. And it's one of the first words that I started channeling through Mary Magdalene. And it's a long story, but I'll make it really short. Okay.
You got time, don't worry.
And I come from a very strong Catholic background, but true Catholic. My mother is very Catholic. My parents were very Catholic. And when I was young, a little girl, I always had a very strong connection to Mother Mary. Very, very strong connection. even though when I started becoming 10, 11, I realized that the church, the Catholic Church, wasn't really for me because of all the patriarchy. But my connection with Mother Mary was very, very strong. So about the age of 11, I was totally dragged into the world of yoga by chance, right? And I started connecting with all of the goddesses and understanding the feminine principle that I really wasn't taught as a Catholic. You're taught to honor Mother Mary as the Virgin, and that's it. So as time passed, my connection to the feminine and into the goddesses got really, really strong. But it wasn't until I was living in the Middle East, and I lived in the Middle East for a very long time, that I had an appearance. I saw Mary Magdalene, and it was in 2011. And before that year, my worship to the Mother had always been very strong, but I saw Mary Magdalene in a very dark night of the soul, very dark. My partner had passed away. He had a brain tumor. He didn't even last for 6 weeks. It was just a very dark night of the soul. And I was with my daughter. She was very young. And we just decided to take a sabbatical. And in that moment, she appeared to me, like physically. And when she appeared, I saw lots of images of her lifetime, really, really fast. It was such a strong appearance that I fainted. And I do remember as a child having these appearances of the Mother and fainting. And the last time it happened was when I was 14. So it's been a very long time. And so I decided to work with her, but I didn't know how. I had that appearance. She told me, she gave me lots of messages. And then just a few days later, I still remember I woke up really early. It was 3:33 in the morning. And I just started doing my practices, because I do my practices every morning. And I had a very, very strong Kundalini awakening. It was so strong. And I've been working on this energy for many years, but that was different because I felt it in my womb. Of course, I felt it in my body, but I felt something open up, and I could literally not just feel, but see like a serpent light coming into my body, but from the heaven, which is the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit. And that's when I just knew that I had to follow this path. So since then, it's been a long journey from 2011 to 2020. It seems like a very long time, but so much has happened in such a little time.
Yes.
The downloads, 2012 came with the shift, and that was my strongest initiation, meeting different people that I knew I had been with in different lifetimes that had to show me, because Mary Magdalene, she appears, but she makes you do the work,
That was my question, because that is totally my experience too, is that when she shows up, you better be ready, because here she comes. And of course she only appears when you are ready to do the work, but you're also, it's not like, because I had this gentle, and now that I tune in, that's so not true, but like, I don't know what my perception of her was, besides, of course, from being the whore that she's portrayed as, and within the Catholic Church, or not the Catholic Church and the patriarchy and all that. But then I was going to ask you, because like when she shows up, she's like, you better get to work. Sorry, I cut you off. Yes, go ahead.
I love it, because sometimes I think I'm the only one who knows her energy is so strong.
Yes.
That idea, she's portrayed. I even have a picture of her in the altar. Yeah. She's portrayed as this beauty. She really is beautiful. I mean, her energy is beautiful, but she's a strong, fierce energy. And she has, the light, the darkness, the strength. But when she appears, it's because she's calling on you. I mean, she's reminding you that you are a Magdalene, because I think that we all can harness this energy, but she reminds you are a Magdalene. It's time for you to do the work. How much more do you have to go through?
Yes.
So she appears, and since that year, it hasn't been easy, because following her path, at first I didn't know how to follow her. You know, I had all of my practices from my sacred dance, from my yoga, which all really helped me with the embodiment to understand her. But I really wasn't sure what to do. And the first thing she did tell me was, I don't want you to read anything about me. All I want you to read are the sacred Gnostic texts. You know, the Gnostic text of her gospel and the other gospels from Nag Hammadi, all of this information. So I did start reading that, and that's how I started my spiritual practice with her.
Yes.
And I just incorporated the things that I kept learning, the channelings and what I learned from the text, into the daily practice. So I would create meditations, I would create movement, I would create yoga sequences, just to be able to embody and understand. And slowly, well, of course, the first thing she does is appear in the womb, as we know.
Yes.
And that's not easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's not easy, because you realize that your womb has given birth to not children only in this lifetime only, but you're constantly giving birth to everything that you think, say, do, feel, all the fears that come, all the programs. So you're actually giving birth to your life constantly.
Yes.
And how do you stop that? That was my question, you know, with her. What do I do with this? You know, because she always appears in that energy. And so I knew that the first lesson that I had to learn was to purify my womb. And for me, it wasn't so much about the connection with the cycles of the womb, which I think is very, very important as women. You know, we connect the cycles of the womb and our blood. It was more about understanding that my womb was a portal of creation. It was more about that, and understanding that it was a reflection of the cosmic mother of her womb, the Black Madonna, her energy, and to be able to get to that purification and allow my womb to become a womb of light, you know, like a temple of light. You know, when Yeshua talks about the temple, which is our body, allowing the womb to become that. So anytime you need to stop me, Maria, just please do so.
I'm like, tell me more. I'm just lapping it up. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Go from one thing to another sometimes. I'm sorry, that's just my nature.
Yeah.
But that was the strongest moment I had with her. And it wasn't easy, okay, because, you know, when I had a lot of stability in my life, when she came in, and when I left Dubai where I was living, because it didn't appear I had to give up that stability.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm laughing. It's again, like you said, it's so wonderful to hear someone with the same experiences, and it's also because I know that I know the you know, and I'm sure that the listeners or the viewers will know that same experience, will be like, yes, like, because I don't know, I had this, so my when I first decided that it didn't start with Mary, it started with love. I was like, okay, I'm choosing love. And my notion was, okay, if I'm choosing love, the heavens will open, angels will descend, rose petals will be strewn, and my life will just be easy because I'm choosing love. And that's not what happens when you make a conscious decision to choose love. It's like, oh, you want to choose love? Okay, we're going to bring everything that's not of love to the surface, so that you may heal it, dissolve it, clear it, so that you may transmute it and make it into love. And it's like, and that is and that's the same thing with you. Like, it's not easy. And recently I've also been sitting with the whole notion of easy. Like, when did we get told that things were supposed to be easy? Like, when? Because if you look at any transformation, any birth, any rebirth, there's always a struggle. There's always a breaking through your current parameters, whether it's the baby on the embryonic sac, whether it's a seed, or whether it is a bird breaking out of a shell. There's always that breaking out of your current confines. And that requires, I don't want to say struggle, but it requires effort. It requires dedication. It requires determination. I know a small snake, if it's in its egg, it can stay in its egg forever, but it's eventually it's gonna be too uncomfortable. It has to break through that shell, and we have to break through that shell as well. So yes to the not easy part. Go ahead.
That's beautiful what you just said, Maria, because I totally agree with that. I do believe in the dark nights of the soul, and she brings you the dark nights of the soul.
Yeah.
And what you said, when you choose love, you have love says the same thing. Okay, now go back and see what isn't love in your life and what hasn't been in love in your life in all of the lifetimes that you've had.
Yes.
And it's not easy. I do remember that her initiations for me are based on those dark nights of the soul. And when she came into my life, and I got on a plane with my daughter. She was very, very small, and we were coming back to Spain, and I didn't even know what I was going to do with my life. I remember that I got on the plane, and I had just lost my partner. I was going back to Spain, hadn't a clue, and I said to myself, if the plane falls, that would be perfect. Yes. I actually remember saying that to myself. Yes. And then something came in and went, no. And I just felt this big energy come into my body. And I said, that was my first initiation, not giving up. Yes. Not giving up. And I remember that I actually felt that I wanted to die. Yes. It just didn't, for that second, and then from then on, it's a purification process. And even in her Gnostic gospel, she talks about purification. And I totally agree with you. Mary Magdalene comes to show us the truth. Yes. She comes to show us liberation and to peel away things, that aren't us. The soul wants to be expressed through the body. And I think all of that is about being human. We are not human until we're divine. To think we're human, we're just pieces of meat, I say, walking around in limbo. Yes. Like, let's do this, let's do that. But when we actually receive the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, whatever you want to call it, because I do believe that the Holy Spirit comes down through Mary Magdalene. I think that's one of the missions is, when they talk about the bread and the wine, the bread being the body, the wine being the spirit, I do believe that. And when she comes down and you receive that Holy Spirit, that's when you start to understand, okay, so I chose this to be human, but a human needs to be divine. Yes. So how do I become divine again? Yes. And that's love, Maria, what you said. It's choosing love. Yeah. So beautiful.
And the thing that comes up for me, or as you say that, is also if we look at her life. I mean, her life wasn't an easy life. And I do believe that she had chosen it. I do believe that they went through it in order to support the shifting of, the paradigm, like shifting the paradigm from fear to love and inserting that new paradigm and anchoring it in. And I think that one of the reasons why she's showing up for so many people so strongly right now is because that anchoring now is really taking place, and we have that opportunity. And so I can't help but I hadn't seen that before, but now as you say that and you talk about your own experience, and I see it through my lens, and I know that other people go through this as well. I see that there is that, as you say, dark night of the soul, where those are the things that shape us. Those are the initiations. And I as well have had those, like, I just wish I wouldn't kill myself, but I wish a bus would hit me. Like, I wouldn't mind a bus hitting. I didn't say wish, but I think I said I wouldn't mind if I got hit by a bus. I wouldn't walk out in front of the bus, but I wouldn't mind if that bus hit me, because there comes a time when the pain, I guess, becomes, we don't know what to do. And then it is that moment where it's like, oh, like, you then break through the shell and you step into it. And again, and I think that is, and that's something that I've noticed, is that it happens over and over and over again. And the more we dissolve, the more we purify, as you call it, the more we clear and heal, the more subtle the layers become, but they're still there. And and that to me is what I call the enlightenment, is because I have this thing about people saying enlightenment where it's like, oh, see ya suckers, and taking off and like just being on this level. But to me, enlightenment means bringing light into your cells, into your body, and from there spreading it out into the world by your being and your doing. and that then you share the light, and then that ripples out into the world. That's how I see that. Yes. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just listened to you mesmerized. Sorry.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I'm like, so could you, because you mentioned the purification of the womb, which I think is, I've never heard it quite that way before. And I love that you actually are not, even though you do work with the cycles, I love that you're not even connecting it to the cycles. I'm wondering, there's two questions that comes up for me. Number one is, in terms of purifying, what are some of the tools that you work with in order to purify it? And number two, the way that you describe it, I know that you say womb, but I'm also wondering if it's not the sexual, because whenever we mention sexual things, people think that it tends to be about sex, and I'm not talking about sex. I'm more talking about, tantra, and I'm wondering about it for men as well, how, because there's a purification of the womb for men, or for that sexual force as well for men. Yes, go ahead. The floor. Now I'm going to be like.
That's a very important question, and it's really important because women and men, we both have an energetic womb. Okay, so we talk about the men and the women with our wombs, but let me talk about the physical womb of the woman first. We do carry the blood. The blood carries the codes of the red thread of all the women that have been here from the great goddess mother. I mean, I do believe in that, and I think that our women, our girls, should be taught to honor the womb, to understand the cycles, and I do and understand what menarche is, what menopause, that we're always bleeding. We're either bleeding outside or inwards, because in menopause the blood goes in. That's why women are so powerful in the wisdom years. So I think that is essential. That's part of what we have come to do when we choose a female incarnation. That's our body. And the womb is so complex because it goes through so many different phases that is what makes us different. I mean, that is our beauty as women, making us one day happy, another day sad. Why not? Because we are emotion, and we need to honor and filter that emotion, because when we do it, we're actually filtering the emotion for everyone. That is our passion of Christ. That the blood is us being on the cross, liberating things that we need to liberate, but we're also liberating it for all of humanity. So I do believe in all the blood right. Now, when I talk about the womb, the cosmic womb, we have an energetic womb, and it's in us, and men have it too. Okay, men have it. For men, it's right under the navel. For us, it's a little bit lower because it's right where our physical womb is. The energetic womb needs to purify and to be awakened, so we can get the energy of the womb of the cosmic mother, and we can bring the light into our creations. Because not everything that we create, everything has a karma. I mean, not children. Children get our lineage, get our programs, but I've created businesses or books, and they were just like, They had my karma. They didn't have the true essence of my soul. They had all of the karma that was mixed. So it sustain itself. Karma, when there's too much karma at one point falls and explodes, and we know that. So you said something very beautiful before. You said when the light comes in and we share that light, what that light does is expands. It expands our energy field, and once we get expansion and more expansion and more expansion, the light can come in without having all of the muck go into it. Is that which we chose as karma is going to be there. It's a vibration that we chose, and it's a vibration that we know we need to learn how to have a relationship with. And the relationship we need to have with is knowing how to learn from it, but at the same time not allow it to bring, to connect the creations that we're bringing in. And also the energetic womb has to do with sexuality. You said something beautiful. Sexuality is not just sex. Intimacy. I am having sexual intercourse with you right now. We are creating. Co-creation is sexuality.
Yes.
And that's sexual energy that we're channeling right now
Yeah.
to co-create something together. That's sexual energy. And the energetic womb is where the Kundalini awakens. That's where the serpent energy awakens. And that's when we understand what to do with our creation. That's why when we have Mary Magdalene so awake inside of us, she makes us see our thought patterns. Just like when I was playing that day, when we see the thought pattern, we say, what can I do with this? What can I do with what just came? And not just a big channeling inspiration, which I love, of course, but the fear.
Yes.
All of a sudden you have a fear, and I'm not going to let the fear, how do you say, possess me. I'm going to be in a relationship with the fear. What is the fear teaching me? How can I co-create with the fear? How can I empower myself? How can I transmute? And that's all that light energy, all that Kundalini energy. And that light energy is actually the spiritual Kundalini, which is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit comes into our bodies and connects with the Kundalini energy of our bodies, there is a co-creation. And that's when we start to become divine. And that's when we anchor that energy on the earth. And it's so important to awaken the energetic womb, to anchor the energy on the earth, because it is a mirror to the womb of the cosmic. Did I explain myself correctly? Because
absolutely. No, absolutely. I totally get it. And one of the things that I think is really important to point out in terms of what you said is the action part, which is what I see as the divine masculine. That's where we merge the two, where we create the sacred union, divine union of the two, that you are not just receiving, because it's one of my true pet peeves over the past, I don't know how many. I love truth, the divine feminine. I'm all about that gnosis, that wisdom, that knowledge, that the intuition, all of that. However, what I loved about what you said is that if you have that knowledge and you choose not to do anything with it, shit's gonna happen. Because it's like, if you're just sitting with it, and I know this from experience, that if you sit with it and you don't do anything, like you just it's like a fire that's boiling, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna explode, and you're gonna be sitting in that fire even longer if you choose not to consciously act upon what you're receiving. If you choose not to, if you've received those areas where you can see that there's things that you have to change, and you choose not to do it, like, it's just going to be worse. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I like the way you brought that up, because I do believe in androgyny, and that is about accepting the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And that masculine energy is so important, because when we receive any type of wisdom, and the wisdom comes in many forms, just like you said, it could be a channeling. I mean, I receive lots of channelings, I write them, but these channelings also are when I see something that I'm not doing anything, or I haven't done anything before to understand the teaching. So when we receive this knowledge, because we do become a lot more receptive with Mary Magdalene, we learn how to be penetrated, which we usually don't know how to be penetrated. We learn how to be penetrated, but what do you do after? And that is very, very important with the learning of how to take action, not just for the things that come into our life, but also to take action in everything. And in your daily life. Mary Magdalene's sacred relationship, for me, the most important is a sacred relationship we have with ourselves and our life. And what am I doing every day to create the sacred relationship? And relationship implies two, not one. So I'm in this world right now. I'm having a relationship with you. I'm not just being. We have both. And that is a wonderful, wonderful teaching, because, and also when you do receive the wisdom, if you don't do anything about it, you can't share it. So it doesn't exist tangibly.
No. And if you don't share it, I always view it as like you dropping a pebble into water. Like, it will create ripples into the water, and you have no idea of knowing how many people that will touch. I was just the other day, not the other day, but a few weeks ago, I think I saw I saw the number. I've never really looked at the numbers of views or likes or listens or anything like in terms of the Magdalene Voices, because that was not my, it was never my driver for starting this show and podcast. It was always wanting to share the love and wanting to support a different perspective than the one that we have been given for millennia. And still, when I saw the number, I was like, oh, because I don't know that many people, like personally. And to know that this has in some way, shape, or form been like a drop of water for some people, like that many people in the world, to me is amazing. Like, I hope that those that listen or view have gotten something out of it and have then taken that and created light in their, like, have then shared that light as well, like created that expansion as well. And that is because to me, God is love, love is God. That's there's no, it's not like it's not a man that's sitting up in his heaven and judging us. And it's like that energy, that's that energy. And love expands, it consistently expands, so you cannot but expand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a lot. And you have a lot of bee energy. And when I hear, because a lot of the transmissions you give, Maria, and everything that you're doing with this beautiful program is you're actually being a catalyst so that everyone can receive information. That's what Mary Magdalene has, the bee energy as well. You know, the whole Venus energy, that where you just spread the light and spread the word. So it's so beautiful to listen to you and as this being part of your mission as well.
Yes, yes, it is. And I know that for a while I've already shared this, but for a while I've wavered off of the path only to return, because it's like even now it's like you think you may think that you can get away, but it's like once you're, and I guess that's my only quote unquote warning to people, is that once you begin walking this path, you better be ready. I don't think you can ever be ready. I remember having so many fears, and this was even before I was introduced to Mary Magdalene or the Magdalenes. Um, I remember having so many fears, and I would say that most of my fears have come to life, and then I have dissolved them, I have healed them, I have purified them, I have transformed them. And on the other, and this is where I get emotional. Now I'm getting emotional again. And on the other side of that, the joy and the satisfaction that and I have shit days as well. It's not shit days. Usually it's just shit moments or hours. It's not like days and days like I used to. But now it's that joy and that satisfaction, that's like it's like a fabric. I can't even describe it, because it's like it's like a pillar. There's that pillar of energy that's constantly there. And now hold on, this is falling apart. It's like a pillar of light, or a pillar of energy that's constantly there, that's never not there, unless I choose not to see it. When I choose not to see it, when I choose to ignore it or disregard it, then I cannot see it. Then I lose my vision. Then I lose all of my senses, the senses that are not of this world. But it is my choice. Like, it's not something outside of myself. It's my choice.
Wow, that's so beautiful what you just said. The pillar. When you were talking, you could imagine, I visioned and the pillar,
Yeah.
and it is a pillar. And when Mary Magdalene appears in our lives, I see it as a blessing, and I know that her vibration is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, because we're going through the transition to the new world, and she comes with the new code and the new humanity, and it's part of what was written already. It's the destiny of the planet to go through energy, and I know that as we do this interview, we're actually having a dark night of the soul, humanity, because we're actually learning how to be with death and life at the same time, and to be in the middle, to be with the light and the shadow, and to understand that we need to navigate between these two energies. And Mary Magdalene teaches us that, you know. One of the beautiful teachings that there's so many teachings of Mary Magdalene. One of the beautiful things that I love about her is that she teaches us that it's not always about being in the light. It's not always about smiling. Oh, everything's perfect. This is perfect.
Yes.
It will be. It's also about saying, "Whoa, what is this? This is
What the fuck?" Yes.
What is this? You know,
Yeah.
and to feel pain, to feel sadness, and to feel compassion, to feel compassion, and to see when someone is suffering, to have gratitude for the abundance that we have, because you and I, we have abundance. We're right here talking. You know, we're warm. You're in Denmark. I'm in Spain. We've got heater. We've got the camera. So much abundance. You know, and she shows us that. She shows us how to pray, and she shows us how to elevate our vibration, which I think you did ask me, what are the tools that I use to, I don't know, you asked me something about the tools that I use for something, but
purification but now I have more questions, but yeah, you can go ahead and answer about the purification of the womb. Just one. I know you probably have many, so.
Yeah, for the purification of the womb, I use a lot of techniques. I do. I've created not created because it's always been created, but I use certain yoga poses for the womb. I also I do a lot of movement meditations, a lot of movement meditations with mantra, because one of the things that Mary Magdalene taught me in the first channelings was to fall in love with my voice. She said, you need to fall in love with your voice. And I was like, okay. So I started recording myself and saying, okay, how do I fall in love with my voice? But the voice is a vibration. The voice is the presence of the Holy Spirit. So when you start to listen and you work with the mantra, with the sound, your voice starts to clear, and it starts to bring in more presence of the Holy Spirit. Remember that our breath is the Holy Spirit. It's our connection to the cosmic womb. And the breath is what makes us understand that we are not from this world. We chose to be here. And the breath is the presence, the Shekhinah presence. So when I understood what she meant by fall in love with your voice and become the beloved, you know, let yourself be penetrated by the vibration. So I do use a lot of voice and light language through sound, through different words or vibrations that I channel through her to purify the womb. So I do use a lot of sound, and that's one of the tools that I use.
That is amazing, because because one of the things that when I record things and then I hear myself back, I often fall in love with myself, and I don't understand, in the sense that I'm like, who is this person? Like, who is that talking? It's so, and I resonate with it so deeply, which is, and that might sound, I don't know if that doesn't sound selfish. It's just like, it's because I understand that I am in this world while I am not of this world. And that I am, like you said, I'm a catalyst. I've known that for a long time, that I'm a catalyst. And I'm also, I do this to be the most pure and open channel and allow things to come through me. Because I think that there's one of my favorite quotes from A Course in Miracles says that through you, this world is changed. And it, like, that is through you, like whoever's listening, whoever's watching, it is through you that the world is changed. It is through, like, because, and I think it was Marianne Williamson who once said that God can't do for you what they can't do through you. It is through us that God force, that love, is brought into this world. A question, because you mentioned the body being a temple, and then when we just talked about, you know, all of the emotions, you know, the sadness, the depression, the fear, the anger, the hurt, all of those things are. And I think that is, again, one of my pet peeves, is that we are both of the light and the dark. And to me, I think I've shared this on the show before, but for me, Mary Magdalene represents a lot of, she's like the tower in tarot. Like things are being like, she's the Kali Ma. She's like that fierce energy where everything that you believe in, everything that you know you have in your will be quote unquote burned to the ground, and you will want to burn it to the ground because you want to bring in the new. You mentioned the temple, and there's something about Yeshua, and then I don't know, is anything coming up for you? Because I'm thinking about in temple, and then the emotions or the feelings and all of those things, and feeling like allowing that, because if you don't allow it, how are you going to purify your temple? Like, yeah, go ahead.
I love what you said. Joshua came in because he just told me to say something. That's why.
He's like, he's here. Like okay, I'll okay. There you go.
Well, Joshua he called Mary Magdalene the cosmic virgin. And the cosmic virgin, cosmic means whole, total. It means to be interconnected with everything. So to be on the earth is cosmic as well. Yes. So he called her the cosmic virgin because she's the black virgin, the black Madonna, which the Catholics called Mary Magdalene later when they couldn't use her name. And the Black Virgin will take us to the deepest, most profound wounds and darkness always, just like the tower. And I do envision her as the tower as well, Maria. And the tower that makes you throw everything down and fall and break to pieces, but also the tower that illuminates, you know, that those energies. So
I'm just realizing, of course, like I'm just now realizing, of course, because Magdala means tower. So I'm like, I'm just realizing, oh, there's actually that. It's actually right there. This is the first time I'm realizing that, because I've seen her as the tower in tarot for a long time, but I didn't realize, of course, like it's in her name. Sorry, go ahead.
So beautiful. I love those connections, don't you? So she will take you. She has that energy of the Kali Ma energy. She does, and I like to always talk about the rose, the red rose. I know it's a symbol that people associate with her, but we need to understand that the rose symbolizes death and resurrection. The red rose. The red rose in Christianity, in Gnostic Christianity, symbolizes the death and the resurrection. Yes. And when Yeshua was on the cross, it is said that Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, they were crying for him, and when their tears touched the ground, they turned into red roses. And so it does symbolize that, and that is her energy. She is that Kali Ma dark energy. But what she does is she makes you go there to bring you to the light, so you become the virgin of all that is, the sovereign, the queen, the king of everything that is, the totality. So I do see that tower in her, where she'll make you fall, make you break into pieces, and make you see the darkness and your wounds and your fears, your fear, the tangible fears, you know, the day-to-day fears as well, not just the deep things that we think are wow, but the day-to-day fears as well. And then she'll make you take that and turn it into the light, so you do become sovereign over it. You have a sovereignty over that fear. And so that way, when that fear is still there, remember that fear is the greatest teacher that you have become sovereign over. You understand it. And that's when you start to create with filtering through your energetic womb. You are there, but I'm sovereign over you, and I know your medicine, and when I need your medicine, I will take it again. But it's not say unconscious. Unconscious. You're not creating, because usually we just like create without even knowing what we're bringing into our wombs. It's absolutely crazy. You know. And did I answer? I don't even know what the question was.
Yes, no, absolutely. It was about the temple, and yes, so you answered that in terms of, you know, getting you through the darkness and into the light, getting you through the darkness into the light, and becoming sovereign. Yes, absolutely. I don't know why there's two things that keep coming up for me. Number one is because I think it's because you mentioned her gospel, and I've shared before that I went to Berlin. It's in Berlin. It's in the one of the, I can't remember if it's not the Egyptian museum, but it's in the museum. It's in Berlin, and something when I saw it happen, like it was, there was energetic something happened for me when I saw it, and it was also such an interesting experience because I was there with a friend of a fellow Magdalene, and we asked the guards about it, and they were like, they had no idea what we were talking about. So we kind of had to go around and find it. And it was in like a drawer, and you had to push a button to push it out and to see it. And you were walking through it, and it was just this, like, here's this powerful sacred text, and it's hidden in a drawer in a museum, and no one knows why they or what they have. And I'm just wondering if one day it will be brought out and display in a different way. And I think that it will at some point, maybe not in this lifetime, but it's just that acknowledgement of it.
It's so beautiful what you said, because when her text was found in Egypt, that's when women started to speak.
That's when what started to speak?
Women started to speak.
Oh, yeah.
We started to want to go to school. I mean, this was a century ago now. We started to want to have a career. Women started to speak because her text was hidden. So the voice of the feminine was hidden.
Yes.
You know, and I see the relationship, because I think everything happens in divine timing. And I think more and more as women, we are a very important factor right now for humanity. I mean, it's not about matriarchy, patriarchy anymore. It's about learning how to become women again, divine, embody the divine feminine, so we can activate the divine feminine in men, in children, the planet, in animals, and everything. So we do have a calling, and we do have a big, very, very big purpose, and we have a lot of work, you know, and a big responsibility. Yes. Because we are the mothers of humanity. It doesn't matter we birth children. We birth humanity. We birth the codes. We birth the energy. So we are mothers. All of us are mothers. We have a womb. We've come here to birth. And so I think that we have a very important mission right now, women. And I think as we more and more become connected to the femme consciousness and to activate the divine feminine within us, I think her gospel will be displayed differently. Do you know that in 1969, the Pope said that she was not a prostitute? Many people don't know that. No. And in 2016, they called her the apostle of the apostles and the first pope, the first female pope, because she had been in the resurrection. People don't know that. So there's a lot still that we don't know about what's going on back doors. I mean, I really think that in the next years, even the Catholic Church will have to go through a very big, different restructuring. Because we're finding out the truth. Yes. The feminine is what we cannot see, but when she appears, she makes us become transparent.
Yes.
So everything, it can be seen. Everything we can see. Even people, we know how to. Our radar is strong. Everyone, you know, we have on the radar. We can see, we can feel, and we can feel people. I mean, with everything that we're going through right now with this, because as we are recording this, we're going through the lockdown of the coronavirus. Just so that people know that's what I'm talking about. As we're going through this, we can see politicians speak, and we know if they're lying and if they're not. Everyone. It's not even about looking at the information, looking at the facts. We know, and that's very feminine. The feminine mystery energy.
And I want to say so because. And maybe to clarify, and now I'm probably going to contradict myself in two ways, but number one is like when we talk about feminine, we talk about the feminine principle, not just in women, but in men as well. So we're talking about the divine feminine that we want to awaken in everyone, not just women, but also men and those who don't assign a gender to it. Like if you're gender fluid or neutral or in any way, shape, or form, that's the principle. And in terms of, and when I've said that, in terms of what I found interesting is that in terms of women and the corona situation that we're going through, is I saw an article that mentioned that the countries that had fared the best all had women in charge. They all had women in charge. And I thought that was really interesting. I think it's becoming obvious, not to say that this is a men versus women thing. It's more about awakening that divine feminine principle in everyone. And I, for one, would love to have the libraries of the Vatican open to see, like, because there are bound to be so many texts that are there that would shift and change. So yeah, I agree. They have a lot of work to do. I'm not sure that I have faith in them. I think that they will be dragged there by Mary Magdalene, probably. But I'm not sure that, I'm not sure where I stand on that.
What you said is really important, Maria, because the divine feminine principle is in men and women. And I always make a distinction between the sacred feminine and the divine feminine. The sacred feminine is awakening the feminine energy within us and making it sacred, but the divine feminine is goddess. That principle and awakening it in men and women, we both have the divine feminine. As a female incarnation, we're connected to this, and that's why women have been learning to open up and connect to this energy so we can bring it back. But we both have it, and definitely, I think that when they open up the Vatican, a lot of secrets will be revealed.
Yes, that would be
that they have known.
Okay, we could go on and on and on. There are many things that I want to, but the one thing I do want for us to touch upon is that I know that you have started the Magdalene Mystery School. What happened? Tell me how that came about.
Well, it happened. I opened it. I created it in 2014 because a lot of the channelings I had. I'm very. How can I say this? I love to flow in that feminine energy, and my sign is Cancer, but I do have a rising Capricorn, so there always has to be structure in my life, okay?
Yeah.
It's funny how I didn't really realize this until 2014, because I was a lot more like, let's channel, let's write, let's love. Yeah. And she told me that I needed to structure her teachings, that they needed to be structured, that they needed to be in a school, that they needed to be taught in a formal way. And I knew how to do it through the body, because I know how to work the body, and I can bring down energies, and I know how to embody, but I didn't really exactly know what to do. But she told me, like always, to have faith. So I created a school, and I started a program, which is the Priestess training, the Mary Magdalene training. In the school, we do sacred dance, we do a sacred union, that we learn about the sacred oils, as she was a mirror for as well. We do drumming. I'm going to sing a song for you after, okay? Because in the Bible, medium, the sister of Moses, connected to the Shekhinah, the Hathor energy, which is a similar lineage. It is the lineage through the drum, and I tried to go into the ancestry of what could have been the school of Mary Magdalene and recreate it. And for me, it was wonderful, because Mary Magdalene awakens a lot of creative energy. And if I don't have creativity in my life, I die. I really feel that I die. And a lot of times when I've had to use the energy to heal people, I would say, yes, but I need to be creative. Give me something to be creative with. Because if not, it just becomes the mind. Yeah. And I don't want it to be the mind. I want it to be both. I want it to be Logos and Sophia. And so the mystery school, because her teachings are a mystery school teaching, because they're the left-hand path of Christianity. Yes. Then they include astrology. She did have a background from the school of the Essenes, and the Essenes were very into the cosmic dance of the stars and the moons and the moon and the planets. And so we do have astrology. We do. It's a school like it would be. It would be made in the school of Isis. And now what I'm doing is, the reason why I started as a priestess school for women was because I really think women need to be together, just like I think men need to be together. I think we learn from each other. Even our estrogen levels change, where they become balanced. Women are together, and we need to create sacred circle, to create big wombs, the energetic wombs. And I think that's very, very necessary. Just like I think men need to be together, like the knights and all that energy, that Arthurian energy. and now what I'm doing is as men have asked me, is they want to be priests, they want to be included. Yes. So I'm creating a different, a program where we can connect, where I can work with the women, and then men can come in and do this work. And really, when it started 2014, I did it in Spanish first, as I was based in Spain, and then we're in 2020. In 2016, she told me that I had to go online, and I said, I'm Cancer. I like to feel people. I like to take a break in between the courses and make food, and everyone's eating, and that's like, how am I going to go online? Plus technology, I can use it, but it's not my thing, Yeah. And a few days later, a woman in Colombia said, I really need you to teach this online. If you teach it online, I will get students for you. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe this. And that's so Mary Magdalene. It's like she told me. Yes. And when I talked to her, and so that's how I started. And I knew she had been telling me, you need to open up in English. Anna, you need to do it in English because languages are codes, that languages are vibrations.
Yeah.
I said, I will do it. But in December 2019, I work with Saraphina as well, the daughter of Magdalene. And I had a very, very big channeling in December where I actually fell. I fainted again. And where she said, in January, you need to go in English. And if you don't, I will make you. And I fear that, because when they make me do something, I'm like, okay. Yeah. I didn't have my personal website ready, but I created a school on the platform that I have. Yeah. And then I just started doing things in English, and it's beautiful, and we're creating community. And I understand why she told me to do it. Yeah.
I love how you're saying, because the thing is, even though like she's quote unquote ancient and esoteric and spiritual and all these things, and then there's this practical, you need to go online, you need to do it in English. It doesn't have to be like very like lofty or very like one of the things that happened for me over Easter, we're recording this right after Easter 2020, is I've been called to put forth the Magdalene Rising, because I see with the Magdalene voices, I wasn't going to share this, but now I'm sharing it. I don't like, she's saying yes. And I'm like, okay. So what I see with the Magdalene Rising, because there are Magdalenes rising all over the globe, and I see them and us and we as a grid. So there's a golden grid that is holding in place, supporting in like, and so it'll start in June. It's going to be like a monthly membership, something where we will come together, and everyone who joins then links in and become part of that golden grid that is across the globe. And when it appeared, I was like, because I did have one about 2 years ago, and that was shut down for some reason that I can't remember. But then over the Easter, and this is why it was so not important, but so profound to me, is this Easter was very special to me. I was very connected to the stories. I was very connected to the energy. I could feel us holding space for him as he walked into the underworld, and I could just feel him. And then on Saturday, and I don't even remember it in my physical form anymore, even though it was like just a week ago. But on that Saturday, I began downloading, the Magdalene Rising, this is coming through now, which is, So I have like I said, I want to link people in so that we can form that like boom across the globe. So I don't know why I shared that. But yeah.
It's important that you shared that, because in the Piscean age, the age that we've come from, all of the teachings were given through a golden chain, a different lineage. I come from I started doing Kundalini and Tantric yoga since the age of 11. So I've been in that lineage for a long time, and it's all about the golden chain. And in different masters, we talk about the golden chain. But you said something, the golden grid, and that is the Magdalene energy, because we're creating a energetic geomancy. It's not even the earth geomancy where there's certain ley lines. It's energetic, and it's through people. And it's so beautiful, and you need to do this.
And I will. Now that I've said it out loud, I have to, right? Now it's like, it's out there. I think this was part of her, like, she's like, now you've said it, now you got to do it. Because it's one of those things where I'm having to surrender into it. There are things that I know that I don't know how I know, and I don't need to know how I know. And it's that constant surrender. And we could go on.
Yeah.
Is there anything, is there, I just want to say that all of the links to everything, like, I will share those in the show notes. So those who are watching or listening can go click the link, and then you'll find links to Anna, to her presence everywhere, to her, the Magdalene Priestess School, like to everything that she shared. I will share that on my website, so you can find it, everything there. Is there anything, do you have anything that we haven't touched upon? Any last words? Are we complete?
Well, I do want to say, there's so much, like I said, we could go on because there's so much here, but I do want to say something that I think can serve everyone. Those beautiful souls that are really into this energy, but maybe someone who, by chance, has come across this recording. One of the greatest mystery teachings of Mary Magdalene, for me and for all of humanity, that I think that she can help us right now. And even if we're not connecting with her, we don't really know her energies, that she teaches us that everyone has creative power, that we all have the potential to be what we are meant to be through our destiny. And in times, that is what she is teaching us. And everyone can tune into this energy, and everyone can go inside and awaken this energy, because that is how we are going to survive in this new age. We need to connect with our creative power and bring in to the earth what is inside, and that we all can do it. But it's not just about believing that we have it, it's about doing something with it, awakening it. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's not easy. But I just wanted to give that message, because one of the things that I see in a lot of people is, they're not happy, they don't like their work, they don't know what to do. And I say, it's not that you don't like your work, you don't like yourself. And once you like yourself and you go into your creative power, it doesn't matter what you do, because she will take you to what you are meant to do. Like yourself, love yourself, go into your creativity. And you don't know how, because maybe these words sound foreign, do something creative. When we create, there is no ego. There's only the act of creating. Paint, sing, dance, cook, start more creativity, so we can believe in ourselves. And something that Maria and I said right in the beginning, and I love when we close with something we say in the beginning, that circle energy, is that, it just left, it came and it left. Wait 1 second. It left,
I will add something in before we close, because one of the things that I am very adamant about is the notion of belief. For me, I consider this to be an unveiling. You already are everything. You already have everything. It's just a matter of you and us not being able to see it. And so it is not something that is outside of yourself that is being added onto you. It is you lifting the veils. And there's this notion that we have to believe in ourselves, which I don't believe in, or which I don't think is true, because sometimes trying to believe in ourselves takes us away. It takes us outside of ourselves. And so giving up the notion or the idea that you have to believe in yourself, and understanding that you are in truth powerful, creative source at any moment, at any time, whether you see it or not, whether you hear it or not, whether you sense it or not, that is your truth. And so, yes, those.
Definitely what you just said, it's so true, because we always have power, we just don't see it.
Yes.
The Power is there always. And what I wanted to say that what you said in the beginning, the stability, how she takes us away from our stability, because she wants to understand that the stability is within, not out. We don't need what is outside. We need ourselves. And when we have ourselves, then we can be in relationship with everything that is outside. We need to learn how to be in relationship with what is out, but first we need to be in relationship with what is in. So, thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Anna, for coming on. Thank you for being part of the Magdalene Voices.
Can I chant a song for you guys?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm just going to chant a little prayer that I do a lot of chanting. I don't have a wonderful voice or anything, but I just think it's important to chant, and that way you can learn the prayer, anyone who's watching it. Okay, so it's very simple, and I'm just going to start, and you can join in when you want.
Yeah.
Divine Mother, receive our prayer. Divine Mother, hear our song. Divine Mother, receive our prayer. Divine Mother, hear our song. Queen of the heavens, infinite grace, lead us to your eternal light. May you shed your love upon us. Divine Mother, receive our prayer. Divine Mother, hear our song. Divine Mother, receive our prayer. Divine Mother, hear our song. Queen of the heavens, infinite grace, lead us to your eternal light. May you shed your love upon us.
You do have a wonderful voice.
Oh, thank you. I have a brother who's an opera singer, so.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Thank you for that moment. I love bringing prayer into everything.
Thank you so much. What was it you said? Ahava? Was that what Ahava?
Ahava means love, and it was the first word that she said to me. I didn't know Hebrew. It's a Hebrew word that means love, and it has the 3 A's, which is the sound, the first sound of the universe, and it's also the opening up of the triple flame, the triple rose, and the body. So I always say Ahava, and that's what I use now. I've been using it since 2011. So Ahava.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Maria.
That is what I had for you in today's episode of the Magdalene Voices. I hope it served you well. If you're listening to this via podcast, know that there's a link to my website, mariasaraphina.com, in the show notes, and you can go there for all the deeds and the details. Finally, I hope that you will take a moment to either leave a comment or a review, or share it with a friend or on social media if you feel that it served you.